Better leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
40.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Stay Loud Live. I'm kidding. Welcome to Coffee with Captain. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We greatly appreciate it. Warms up the room. We do have an extra special guest joining us at about 9 o'clock this morning. Pumped for the Good Vibes team. Been crushing it lately and looking forward to the update, maybe an announcement. And as we get things warmed up here, would love all that support. We're live over on YouTube as well as the Abstract Streets, and the X video feed is also pinned up top. The best GMers drop those GMs and all those chats. But as always, I'm Cap, Jim, my co-host Steve. There are any financial advice to the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky. Meme coins exceptionally risky and go to zero to moment's notice. The only thing not risky is the loud presale if you can get in it. It is a guaranteed cook. That is financial advice. I got the safest financial advice I've ever given in my life. I feel confident saying that. There's zero chance, 0.00000000001% chance it opens up at less than the presale price. So good luck out there climbing the board today. We'll hit on it a little bit this morning, but we got a lot of other news to get into before our guest today, and we got a cold open as well. So again, thanks so much for being here. Give us that like, repost, and bookmark, and we'll get things rolling. GM, Steve.
GM to all the friends in the chat: Diego, RDL, Diablito, Big Bear, Von Fronten, all of our good friends. Diego, I'll try to get you a little bit of love on your tweet as well. You know who is on there? GM to the Abstract Chat, Teacher Katie, Diablito in there as well. Our guy Thomas, Jamber GM, Dwayne GM. Thomas, I saw on the leaderboard, and you love to see it. I think Thomas is going to feel pretty good about, like, this is the type of thing that as a creator, you love. Now, we say not financial advice, and we mean it. And we oftentimes are wrong, and we talk about our losses as much as we talk about our wins. Things happen, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. What is cool about this one is it's my inclination, and Thomas can tell me if I'm wrong, is yes, it was on the timeline, but I don't know if he would have gone into loud farming if we hadn't talked about it, right? And he said, yeah, I'm loving it. I didn't think I had a chance. Well, Thomas is in our community. Diego, I'll look for your tweets tomorrow. Some people in DGen, there's like 3 or 4 from DGen who are on the board as well from the DGen Network Discord, because we created a loud channel where we kind of gave each other a little bit of love. And one of the first times I've really gotten to farming, you know, in the past, like in the past, I've been like technically you could say I'm abstract farming, but I'm actually using the chain. You know, you could say that I'm farming the quacks on the ApeCoin leaderboard, but I'm just talking about things I love. But, you know, we're out here, and we'll get into it in a minute, but like, retweet, comment on the room. Thomas loved to see this. He says, when you broke it down, it definitely sparked my farming. So Thomas might end up with a 5-figure payout or a 4-figure payout via Coffee with Captain recommendations. Not advice.
I don't think you're going to be able to tip loud on abstract on Monday, but if anyone does print, we would gladly accept those tips come Monday morning.
Yeah, and remember, Cap and I switch, so Monday morning is when you should do all the tips, assuming it's great. Don't worry about Tuesday or today. Don't, you know, hey, you don't want to count your chickens. No, I'm just kidding. We love it. Love to see it and appreciate everything everybody does. You know, Mini Me, appreciate you. GM out in the chat. Clay, that's a sick Good Vibes Club you got out there. Excited to talk to them. Mel, GM, Dort, Dobbins, Alex, Arkinvest, Teacher Katie in that chat as well with the Good Vibes Club. I might actually put my honorary Good Vibes Club on today for the interview is what I should probably do. So I'm going to see if I can go hunt that down at some point when I'm off the mic. Dim out there in the chat. Rita good out there. I saw you. Or that might be a different GM in the bottom GMs, but appreciate you. Dust, Scrub, Mesh, all the friends. Cap. Look, I'm not, you know, people are upset. Like Box of Corey's been in my DMs a little bit, or in my replies. Box of Corey, just a mutant that I like, and we talk sometimes. Been in my replies a little bit with, you know, people just want free money. The market is stale as hell. Laudio not the only option. You know, I know Bunchu's getting annoyed by it. Fine.
Like that's perfectly fine to get annoyed. I fully get it. Yes, it's not the only option. Yes, it's taking over 70% of the mind share on this app. It's insane. So it's fine to get annoyed. It's fine to not participate. Perfectly fine. It's very cringe to those that are like dunking on or taking shots at people that are participating. CT's a game. This is the current game. Like you don't have to play, but to make fun or take shots at people who are participating in the game, like the meta's changed. This is the meta right now. Like you don't have to play. Like you can sit on the sidelines. It's perfectly fine. This isn't going to be the only one. It's like there was a lot of people that muted Bored Apes when they were less than 1 ETH. And so this is stupid. NFTs are dumb. I specifically remember a lot of DeFi people who printed the summer prior in DeFi summer, and they thought NFT PFPs were the stupidest thing ever. And then many of them eventually capitulated and they ended up buying apes when they're like 40 ETH, or they buy a mutant. Like, I am very interested, not just in this weekend, but what follows this. We've said for years, this is, you know, the attention economy. Every builder in this space would love to go viral, is attempting to catch virility. And now you're muting and you're not paying attention to the thing that's captured virility. Like, what are you doing? Like you're getting handed a playbook. You don't have to execute it. But if you're a builder and you're not paying attention to this, you're doing crypto Twitter wrong.
Yeah, I get it. I'm actually not going to hate on the haters too hard because I get it.
I'm not hating on them. I don't understand. Like, explain to me the logic in ignoring something that has captured the attention, what presumably every builder here is looking to do.
Well, like, I don't think they're ignoring it. I think what they're saying, which I do.
Oh, I've seen some straight up said they're ignoring it, and it's like the same tone that some people took with NFTs in 2021. It's the same tone. It's just like, yeah, you probably shouldn't participate with everything here, but to like hate the game, like then why are you here? Just passively stack your sats and retire a millionaire off Bitcoin someday. Like you don't have to play in this casino, but it's really weird to me how angry some people get about the current game.
I'm not. Here's the thing. I am like here. And by the way, I've been consistent on this. But my friend says people are able to make non-insignificant money simply by clicking buttons for a couple of days. Billions of people in this world wish they were this lucky. Count your blessings, CT. I agree. And by the way,
I heard it. Sorry, go ahead. And I haven't ever thought about a different content creator in a different industry that I heard basically almost capitulating over the weekend would kill for this opportunity. So much so that I reached out to our guy Bunch and it inspired, like, dude, can we create this for this other industry? Because they have the same, like, they need this. There's a lot of parallels and it doesn't exist. And so you have content creators out there grinding their faces off, far larger audience and following than us. And guess what? They're probably going to make less this entire year of putting out hundreds of videos than some of these people are going to make in one pre-sale for clicking a few buttons on Saturday. Like, you don't have to participate, but to turn your nose up at it is like, I don't know, man. It's bold when, to your point, people would love to Von Front and Sweat. People would billions of people would love for this opportunity, and we got a front row seat to it. So yeah, you don't have to do it if it feels dirty to you. I guess you can mute people. I don't know what your timeline shows if you've muted all this, but I fully understand the frustration. I would love to hear some high. I said yesterday, like, I felt bad for the Klanos team. You know, their big mint day, and 70% of the space isn't talking about it, and they minted 25,000 NFT. Like, incredible day, and getting almost no attention on the timeline. $5 million raised, almost no attention on the timeline. Like, the frustrations are very valid. I like, it's the most cringiest thing for the people who are honestly, there's some people who had multiple posts saying how cringe people are that are talking about this. They're muting all the keywords. They probably had, if they just would have tagged StayLoud on one of the tweets, they're probably in a pre-sale tomorrow and they could turn it into, I don't know, 10 or 15 grand by early estimates. It's like, I guess people hate money. Like, that's how much on principle you're going to stand, that you'd rather dunk on something than just play the game.
I think for some people, I get it. I understand. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with people who are like consistent on it. I think consistency is what I in fact, let's see if I can find the legendary tweet here that I can read out loud. I'm also making sure I'm completing my OpenSea things, which I think had a couple of hours to go, or a couple of or like a day to go or something. So I want to do that. But legendary had a tweet this morning that I think says it perfectly. See if I can find it, because he just was going crazy on it. Because legendary, I actually DM'd legendary because I was freaking out, and then the leaderboard caught up and we're good now. But he said, I respect the Laudio hustle. I respect everyone trying to break the top 1K. I respect everybody who's not participating in the experiment equally. What I don't respect is double standards. And that's what I want to get at. Because, like, here's the thing for me. I have been consistent in this. And, like, that's like when everybody was farming Portal Coin, I said, look, it is bumped up my timeline. I am not going to farm Portal Coin because I have a level of, like, what is worth it and what is not. And I said it before. It's like, you asked me, would I go for the top, 25? My answer was no, because that would make your entire personality about it. And I didn't want to do that. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. Not that I'm hating on anybody. I said at the time, legendary, all these friends, all my friends want to go for it. Do it, go for it. And that's awesome. When the Portal Coin came out, meta was happening. When Pac Moon was happening, my answer was, by the way, I'd say there's a really lot of, like, a great lot of Pac Moon content out there. I'm enjoying seeing it. I'm not participating because I don't think I can make it meaningful. This was one, when you brought this up the other day, I initially pushed back, and then I looked at what the reward opportunity was, and I said, look, a 2-day sprint to get in a pre-sale, that on the low end is going to probably print at least $100, right, of profit. Maybe 1,000, maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 20, who knows? But for 2 days and like 6-7 tweets, go back in a time machine, knowing Twitter's existed since 2007, and tell yourself in the year 2014, guess what? You could send 12 tweets, 10 tweets, 6 tweets, and collect $5,000. Like, it is a opportunity.
And the wildest thing, and this is why I get annoyed, and where it's the cringe double standard, is some of these same people, I'm not going to name any names, I'm going to pick on them, like, whatever, do whatever you want with your feed. It's a freedom of speech. Talk whatever you want to talk about. It's a lot of these same people, they're freaking engagement farmers. They're posting GM, who's active right now, to get $50 from Elon and you're dunking on this. Like it's like it's an IQ test. If you're engaging, if you're a reply guy to get $50 from your X monetization and you're making fun of this, like there's some, like you should seek help. You don't have to do either, but if you're doing one and making fun of people from doing this, like you need to check yourself. I'm sorry. Like I'm not sorry.
Yeah, no, it's and I want to go to our guy Riggs here in a second, but I'll say this, like that's it. It's like I am more of the don't be the double standard person, don't be the crazy person, just go for it, right? And like, you know, it is what it is, right? It's like you try to get on a leaderboard, you try to make things happen, and it's a big potential payout. And again, when I saw it and we saw that it was 2 days, I even said at the time 2 days is long. And by the way, I'm tired, boss. I'm tired after 24 hours of this shit. Right?
I'm not. I'm inspired. I'm re-engaged. I told you yesterday, my biggest takeaway from this, Steve, it's forcing habits that I've talked about doing for a long time. My biggest opportunity, the biggest leak in my Twitter game is I don't volume shoot. I'm not a reply guy. I'll put a post out. It'll do numbers. And I'll reply to the replies for a few of them. And then I get busy and I open my app and there's 100 notifications. I just move on. I have a much greater respect for those that are hustling on this app, those that are grinding that Twitter monetization. It's work, man. Like it is like, I underestimated the amount of work it really takes. Like if you do a tweet that does numbers, you're engaging with that thing all day.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not like you can make fun of it if you want. It doesn't have to be for everyone, but I respect it. And I've said many times, both in private and public, that I'm doing myself in the show an injustice by not hustling a little harder in the reply guy game, because it works. It's how this algo works. You know, you want to get like, on a personal level, I've become closer with Diego this week. I've become closer with Thomas this week. Why? Because they're supporting me multiple times. Those two individuals will reply like 7 different times in one tweet. I don't not notice it. Diego DMs me, asks me to give him some love back. Of course I'm going to give you some love back, right? Like these are two people I've never met, and don't take this the wrong way. I understand like the whole 3,3 thing can go wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just like, this has forced what has been, you know, right now it's 24, 48 hours, but it's created some habits that I think will stick long beyond Saturday for me personally. It won't for everyone, but it's something I've needed to do. I haven't done it. This gave me the incentive to do it because like I haven't wanted to grind for $50 from Elon. It's not like I should have hit monetization by now. I've not put in the effort because it's just not like, I don't know how to say this outside. Like it's just like a couple $100 a month. It's not worth it for me to continue that grind. I don't care that much about a couple $100. And it's not something I thoroughly enjoy, replying to everything. Like I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy the connection. I don't enjoy grinding like NBA Twitter. I've attempted to do it. It just doesn't stick because it's not something like, it's just not a game I've enjoyed. I'm also not above it. And so like, for me, it took and here's the crazy thing, Steve. What I stand to gain by doing this, what we stand to gain, what the show stands to gain by me being a better player of the CT game is far outweighs any airdrop or any pre-sale I can get on Saturday. The big picture. It's just it's like this. I think it's like how I've reacted to this specific thing. It's like a microcosm live. How a lot of people treat their lives is most of us vastly overestimate what we can do in a day or a year. And we vastly underestimate what we can do in 5 years or 10 years. And it's very like, I now see the path, right? I did this hustle. I grinded for, let's just say it ends up being 10K. If I keep doing it, I probably stand to make 10X that off of incremental eyeballs, distribution, sponsor deals, but it's harder to visualize the 10X I actually stand to do. I might get this. Whereas the short-term result, the short-term payout seems much more clear. I understand how things work. I know that it's actually in my best interest to do this long-term. I'm also human, and it's not been a big enough motivator for me. Now I see it. And so it's like, yeah, if you don't enjoy me posting more frequently, like even Dort said this morning, like because I posted something about Franklin. Yes, absolutely. It's to farm the StayLoud thing. I want to be in the leaderboard. I want in the pre-sale. I think it's easy money. But what it's done, and my reply was, yeah, I'm dialed in. It got me. It's like, I'm thinking more, what can I post that's relevant to the conversation, that someone might enjoy, that someone might get a kick out of? I got to look and see if Josh Ong is down there, because this guy, Josh, is like one of the best in the business that does this. Josh is, I don't know if he's still in the top 25 or not. He was. And I think probably every post that Josh has put out in the last week has tagged or mentioned StayLoudio, but he does it in like a dad jokey way. He does it in an entertaining way. And that's another takeaway for me. See, I'm entertained. I'm having fun. I've seen other people. I saw Salamander saying the same thing. Like it's brought back a little bit of fun and excitement. Is there a bag bias associated? Yes. I'm not gonna lie and say there isn't, but it's driving other sorts of activity that I'm enjoying.
Yeah, I shout out Salamander. She's her and I are out there in the streets DMing, like trading like secrets, trying to figure things out. Like it's like you said,
I thought about posting a thirst trap this morning, Steve.
Yeah,
I didn't, because Von Frunton's in my head, so I did not post a shirtless gym selfie.
What does that have to do with our girl Angela, Cap? What does that have to do with Salamander? I don't understand. What do you mean thirst traps? No, I just but
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
She's better looking than I, and she's posting selfies. Like it works. Like I'm not above. Like I'm not like the greatest looking guy in the world. I don't have a six pack. If I post a picture with my shirt off,
Cap,
it'll get more engagement than if I post a picture with a hoodie.
If Sydney Sweeney can, gather her bath water, make it into bath soap, and sell on the market for millions of dollars, you could take a shirtless gym selfie. You got it.
I'm gonna sell.
It's actually better if you're
backwashed coffee tomorrow. Tomorrow we bundled in.
No, it's better, Cap. Honestly, it's actually better that you don't have a six pack because, like, you're not out of shape, but you're not in shape. So if you post it and be like, been working on my physique, the comments you're going to get, or if you want to do one and then Riggs, I promise.
Engagement is all the fucking Zoomers would make so much fun of me. Who is this old man and who is he like? What is he doing?
I'm going to go to Riggs after this comment, but I will say this, Cap. What you need to do is you really want to get it going. Post yourself doing a squat where you don't get full depth. And then do it and be like, rate my form, StayLoudio.
You know what? Actually, now that you say that, I'm kind of disappointed we haven't seen more of that from Clemente or Pio this week.
Yeah, they've been staying clear of this one. I wonder if they have a competitor that they're working with or something.
That's like a miss for them. Like they are the best at this. Like just what I said about Josh, like Clemente could be crushing. Clemente, if he went for it, he's a lock for the top 25 because he does stuff that can, like, you can play the game poorly. You can straight farm your way to the top of the game that annoys the hell out of people. Or you can be a good player of the game. And there's some good players of this game that are like, I look up to. I wish I was a better shit poster, Steve. I wish I had more wit.
Yeah. Riggs, get in here. I know you've been chomping at the bit a little bit. Go ahead and get in here, GM.
No, it's all good, guys. First off, what I came up initially for, we've long circled the wagon, and I feel like it's going to come off rigid. But ultimately, I agree with especially the double standard conversation. That said, it is still cringe. It is. If you're having fun with it, great. I'm doing it, but I despise every time I press send on a tweet. That said, you have inspired me. Maybe I do a physique photo today of my back. One, I have a massive tattoo, but two, I just did the cupping therapy, so it's all fucking bruised up, and it is loud right now.
You'll get impressions from cupping Twitter.
Yeah, it is bruised up, boys. But here's the thing. There's a couple things that I think a lot of people, this was my original point, that a lot of people get tired of. And not necessarily the people you all are alluding to, because I think you're talking about some of the larger KOLs that have farmed other things and then they're calling this cringe.
Yes.
I get that. That said, there's a lot of individuals as well that feel just slighted because there are KOLs that'll say, and this is not, I mean, it is kind of a shot at you, Cap, but it's not like a direct, like, bullet in the face type of a shot. That'll say, AI agents are the 2025 version of NFTs. And so they start farming those. They start trying to get that, and they catch falling knives. Same thing with...
Now, my defense, Virtuous is printed. That ecosystem is printed for the participants. So, like, it's not been as strong as I thought, but it's been, for the participants, most are up bigly.
I get it, but it's just this... Anytime there's a new meta that comes super quick, and we don't know, like you're talking about habits forming, it's been 2 days. There ain't no habits forming in 2 days. It's one of those things that I hope, but based on your goals, that you do continue. I want to support you in that journey as a friend, right? But it's not habitually.
No, I agree. It's not stuck
done
in, but it's started.
Correct.
And for me, I just know myself and how I'm wired and how routine and habit driven I am. It's just like the gym. Like if I say I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week, I would probably stop after a few weeks. But when I lock something into like a daily routine, it sticks. I know my processes. I've started the process. So therefore, there's a much, much, much greater chance I make it to my 21 days or 30 days, whatever it takes to really create it. Because
no
I actually
doubt,
be going.
no doubt. But my original point though is around muting things, right? And not wanting to participate, wanting to ignore things. I mean, I remember a conversation in the war room we had when I like day 2 of Murad and his shit. I go, I fucking muted that motherfucker. And you go, oh, that's like kissing 6 figures away by muting him this early in the cycle. Nope, wrong. You know, again, it's just one of those things. You got to pick and choose the battles. Yes, CT is a game. It's more of a game today than it ever has been before. A lot of people don't necessarily like that because, you know, the reality is a lot of people work full time. It's hard to fucking do that. I mean, I did this stuff full time, crypto wise, for 2.5 years, 3 years, and it was so much easier than trying to do something where like you feel exhausted because you're working, but then you're missing out. So it's almost easier to mute things and just eliminate it from your timeline and eliminate it from your mental space. And so I just think everybody has to choose. I'm kind of on Steve's side of this, right? Choose what you want to participate in. Doesn't mean you have to go butt it on the timeline. I'd probably say that's dumb unless you're actually butting it from an engagement farm standpoint for something else. Then by all means, play the fucking game, do what you want to do. But it's just one of those things that I think this is we got InfoFi now, right? Okay, it's really just an iteration of SocialFi. SocialFi hasn't really worked. Now we got InfoFi, which is really tagging to Twitter, and Metrics there, which is pretty much SocialFi. And so we're just kind of reiterating things and maybe adding a little layer to it. And so before we say this is the future, before we say this thing is going to be the next NFT bull run of 2021, because I don't know if we ever see anything quite like that again. That was just absolutely insane. And so I just think cautioning and bringing levity to the situation, because there are people that are influenced by how we say things, when we say things, how we get excited about stuff. And I don't want to bring that down the energy, but I do want to bring some levity to it for those that feel like they can't win. Because it is so hard at times mentally when you just feel like you can't fucking win.
You're right. It is hard. And it is work. Like it is not easy. I don't want anyone to ever like forget financial advice. I never want anyone like to do something that we're excited about and regret it. That said, I'm not going to hide my excitement. I'm not like,
and I'm not telling you to hide. I'm not telling you to hide. Right?
I'm going to genuinely balance at times. I genuinely mean what I'm about to say next. I'm not going to throttle myself. I'm not, because you know what? I'm going to be more excited if Thomas and Diego get a pre-sale on Saturday and cook off of it than I will myself. Will I take the money? Yeah, I'll be happy. If a couple individuals, a couple listeners of the show took some action and did something they didn't think they could do, but I told them, hey, I think anyone can do this if you really put the effort to it. And they listen, they heard my excitement in my voice, and we've seen it in the chat. Like, and they go do something based off an action and they end up making $10,000. Dude, that's freaking awesome for me. I have chills right now thinking like, wow, it was worth it showing up 10 hours this week and hosting the show because I helped someone else make $10,000. Like, that motivates me. And I know I've probably made some calls and people followed me into it and they lost money. Like, do your own research. There's no guarantees, all that. But sometimes we find opportunities here that seem like the upside vastly outweighs the potential downside risk. And I am 100% convinced this is one of those opportunities. Now, could the thing flop and they botch the drop?
Real quickly, sorry, because I'm about to jump on an elevator. You said do your own research. Don't you believe in this space in particular? We say KOLs, key opinion leaders. Part of doing your own research is understanding the KOLs.
Rigs hit the elevator.
And so there's a responsibility associated with that as well for those that don't know, because there's not good places to go do research. There's just not. So you listen to the people. And so our words matter is all I'm saying.
I'll say this with Riggs. I mean, like, and this is why it's funny you mentioned this up. Like, I'm the one who's normally the skeptic on this stuff, right? I'm like usually, and this isn't by design, this is just how Cap and I are. Every time there's a new meta, I'm like, let's pump the brakes for a minute. Like, I wasn't all over AI agents. It did cost me in virtuals, to be fair, but at the same time, like I didn't chase in like Thread Guy at $1 billion at Goatcoin because I didn't think that it was like, worthwhile. And on this one, I'm a big change your mind with new information guy. And I was like, look, I'm not going to grind for the top 25 because I see the amount of work that Legendary and ICR are putting in. We're not in that crowd. Like we talked about it. But then when it was top 1,000, I'm like, I think this is doable. And when I looked at the numbers, again, when you actually share it based on how they did the distribution, my mind was like, I am blatantly saying I'm probably going to sell this thing. I know people are like, hey, it might not dump, whatever. But I'm pulling up Whale's tweet again. And when this tweet goes out and you see at a $25 million market cap, the pre-sale is worth about $5,700, $5,625. At a $200 million market cap, probably not happening, but not crazy, it's $45,000 on a pre-sale. When you see a number like that and you say, okay, and I know you're on the same page as me, so I'm speaking your language. When you're like, look, trying to feed my family, trying to make things work, going full, I'm full-time in this. Like we show up every day. We don't ask the audience for money. In fact, starting Monday, we're going to be giving away more to our audience and working with some new folks. But like, I'm with you, Riggs. I mean, I'm generally speaking, I'm like, I don't get overhyped on this stuff. This is one of those ones where, again, I kind of had this say it out loud sort of way I approach things. Like when you think about
Pun intended there or no?
What's that?
Pun intended there.
Say it out loud. There you go. No, not even on purpose. Like when you're a kid and I'm like, so I'm going to try to climb this tree wearing rollerblades, then jump down and catch the curb just right. You're like, say it out loud. You're probably going to get hurt. And when you do, it's an idiot. Like I used to have this like rule of thumb in my 20s that if people were reading my how I died in some sort of a accident and it sounds incredibly stupid, I probably shouldn't get into this thing, right? Like if you're like, yeah, I was like standing on top of a train that was stopped and like it says, there's a thing about that, right? It's a say it out loud rule. When I said this one out loud on the show yesterday and I left and I made sure I doubled down on myself and I'm like, okay, so if I send probably 10 or less tweets in the next 48 hours, I have a chance to cash $5,000. Like, seems like a logical thing. Some people in our community followed it. And to your point, and again, I'm not arguing, I'm kind of like amplifying the point. There's risk and reward. The risk to me is that my reputation somehow folds in some way, shape, or form, or I lose credibility, or people mute me or unfollow me because of it. The reward is a certain amount of money that could make sense. And look, the past 48 hours, there's been a lot of news I haven't talked about that I normally would, that I'll probably get to over the weekend. It's fine, right? Like we'll talk about OpenSea 2 and everything else. And we're going to talk to Good Vibes Club this morning. To me, the opportunity at hand here, which we still have 24 hours for, was this thing is distributed in a way. Because if this was like, look, if I get in the top 1,000 and it's tiered off and I have to be like top 100 to even make it meaning, like I'm not going to play that game. The fact that top 1,000 is egalitarianly distributed, egalitarianly isn't even a word, I don't think, but you get the point. That to me is like interesting. And it's interesting. Send some tweets, get the opportunity, and now you claim this thing. And yes, like I said before, I'll probably be rushing for the exits. Unless it's like a $200,000 payout, in which case maybe I'll be like, all right, does this thing go high? I mean, I'll probably rush for the exits no matter what. There's a world in which I sell 50 or 75% of it, but like I always want to be upfront. My general plan is to run for the exits like a lot of people. So yeah, I mean, I think the opportunity at hand, but I agree. Like the one thing I'll also say, Cap, and then I'll hand it right back to you, that I will agree with you on, Cap, on this one is you talk about the habit. The eye-opening part for me, because I have a habit, I'm on the timeline. I tend to be out there like a little bit. I'm thoughtful. I'm creative. I write long threads. I care about things I care about. It was illuminating how much I can climb a Kaido leaderboard if I want to, because I've never gotten the Kaido leaderboard game. I've talked about that being a habit I want to get into, to actually dig into ecosystems I care about. But I always get distracted by the way, things I love. I write long form tweets about things I love. My eye-opening part, I know for you, we've talked about the content thing and you're ready to dive in. Even before, like offline, we've talked about this. That's why I believe you, is because we've talked about it offline this week. You know, and for me, it's if I find an ecosystem or two in Kaido, I could actually be pretty involved there. And that was what was eye-opening for me. And that opens up a world of possibilities.
You're probably not going to like this, but I actually believe, had you hit this from the jump, I think I think top 25 is in range for you. You have reach. You're good.
I would have had to hit it hard, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Look at Legendary. Look at Legendary.
Like, I think just seeing where you popped, like you're what, 150?
No,
350?
no. I'm like 280.
off a little effort though, I think had you really hit it hard, like I think you have that in your arsenal.
Yeah,
like it would have been a lot of work, and you would have had it done it from the jump. But I think it's in range. So I'm glad you see that, because there's other stuff. I shared this with you pre-show. I'll share it with everyone else. If you're not going to talk about Loud today and you want to farm a Kaido leaderboard, consider talking about Somnia. Sorry, Grateful, if you're out there. Not to dilute our guy Grateful Apeny, but I think he's been crushing the Somnia conversation on the timeline. Today is the last day of their activity period. So all these Kaido campaigns, some of them go through like the end of the year. Some of them, like Infinex, has 3 seasons. The Somnia activity period ends today. If you're on that leaderboard at all, any post is probably going to move you up the leaderboard. In fact, I would say something like Steve, if you have a Somnia post and it does numbers, you could go, it's possible you could go off the leaderboard to on the leaderboard to a material payout. So like, I agree with everything said. I do not think that the Loud token is going to reshape the fabric of society. I do not think it's the future of finance. I do not think we're still talking about it a month from now. I do think we've entered a new meta. I do think InfoFi is here to stay. For my earlier take that AI agents were going to be to 2025 what NFTs were to 2021, I was wrong. They're still relevant. I think it's going to be InfoFi to 2025 cycle what NFTs were to 2021 cycle. We're seeing that now with Kaido, and I'm more convinced this week. The other thing that no one's talking about on the timeline that I think is huge news, because I don't think this is the last one we're going to see like this, is the revenue sharing. I'll go grab a tweet I put out yesterday talking about, right now everyone's talking about the top 25 people on this leaderboard. They get percent of the fees charged. So they're going to get not the Loud token, they're going to get Solana. The fees that are generated, it's a 4% fee, which is high. I do agree with those that have critiqued that. I think something like a 2%, even 3% is better than 4. 4 is going to probably turn off some actual people who might have traded this. But everyone's talking about, these top 25 are going to get 5-6-figure airdrops. Hardly anyone is talking about they're getting 72% of the fees. 18% of those fees are going to Kaido stakers. And the numbers are kind of silly, because you're talking like it's a weekly payout. Now, again, I don't.
Do you have to claim it? I need to know how to do this Kaido staking thing, because I staked some Kaido at your advice the other day. You convinced me. Like I said, I was arguing like both like kind of the feeling about it, but also realizing you convinced me for what I'm going to do. I need to know how this works, by the way, like very tactically. Like if there is a payout, do I need to go claim it? Do I need to like vote on things? What's the best way to do it? Is it notifications for Kaido? Yes.
I would also recommend everyone, if you're in Kaido, have your Kaido account. If you need a ref link, please let me know. I'll drop mine in the chat. Make sure you add not only your wallets there. That's very important. You have to have your Solana wallet linked. It's kind of weird language because it shows like connected and then linked. And so like I too was confused, but I don't think there's any way to actually connect a Solana wallet. You just got to copy paste your wallet in, hit link. And if it shows linked, pretty sure you're good. 99% sure that's okay. I just don't know another way to actually connect a Solana wallet, but make sure you have your wallets connected. The other thing I would do is drop your email address. Right now, you don't get anything for your email other than those notifications. They will email you when there's stuff to claim or stuff to do. But who knows? Maybe some future partner there says, hey, everyone that's got their email list, we'd like to include them in this allow list. Like, I just like, Kaido has the attention. Loud has it this week. They probably lose a good chunk. Like, they're not going to be at 70% mindshare next week. But you know who will is still Kaido. And 18% fees off a meme coin going to Kaido stakers, it's pretty good darn milk producing cow, if you ask me, because I think this can be rinsed and repeated multiple times. It's diminishing returns on each subsequent one. But man, I think that just as that virtual ecosystem ate, I think the Kaido's, and I'm biased. I've staked 75% of the Kaido claim I got from the jump. I do stand to win, but it's treated me well so far. And I have, not only am I not unstaking my Kaido and selling it, I'm considering buying more and increasing my stake, Steve.
Yeah, I might as well. I've been moving around some stuff to get Kaido on there. Like you can see, 71.5% of the leaderboard right now, actually down a little bit. But the funny part is on my, my yaps, if I can get to my yaps, it's funny looking at my yaps because you can see this is what I'm seeing. And granted, like, you know, I occasionally have 10, 13, 16. I think there's another 20 in here somewhere. 43 one day, I think, when I had a post where I was dunking on somebody who I was pretty annoyed with in the space who was pretty big. Not even dunking, was just like kind of critiquing them. But I had 21.93 yaps, and this is like a lagging leaderboard. So like this number will probably go up and we'll see the kind of move. 21.93 yaps is not an accident that happened that day, right? And so I just think like that was what was eye-opening for me. It's similar to what you said, Cap, is that I had this realization that like maybe I could have been top 25 if I did like the legendary Josh Ong thing. I don't have a never-ending pasta card for Olive Garden, so I don't know if I could top Josh Ong, who's got the never-ending. Josh Ong bought the gold Olive Garden card back in the 90s. It gets him like never-ending pasta dishes forever. Like he gets a free pasta dish every time he goes in or something. Maybe I could have been top 25. I'm not saying I could have, but what I do know is that my eyes have been open to exploring ecosystems I really care about and being able to actually use that to climb a Yapper leaderboard and actually get some incremental payouts. Like you said this to me like 2 months ago, and I faded it. I didn't really fade it. I just was like, probably didn't want to put in the work. I was working on other things. I had other goals. You said to me, you're like, dude, you write long form quality posts anyway. You work on imagery with AI until you get it just right. Like you're made for Kaido. It's like the ecosystems will like having you in there. And not that I faded it. I thought you weren't wrong, but it just wasn't a game I wanted to play. I've had fun the past 24 hours. I've had fun doing it. Like, do I feel great about it? Like, is it something I want to do forever? No. I am curious come Saturday what they're going to do to try to like, hey, if you stake it, it's going to double your drop. Or by the way, Ultra's holding back his and he's doing this. He's running this whole thing back next week, right? Like there's a lot of ways they can continue to do this that can get a lot of attention, which is why I'm hoping that it holds up or maybe even bumps a little bit so that like people have a chance to get a good exit point if they want to. There's almost no circumstance in which I'm not selling because I would almost rather just sell and reparticipate one more time than risk not selling and watching my airdrop cut in half. So
yeah, I'm most likely selling pre-sale as well. I also mentioned I might be a buyer if I can get in early enough before I think the run up, or if we do see the quick sell off and then the announcement. Like I'm gonna really bad weekend to have a lacrosse tournament, so I'm gonna be needing to make sure all my mobile stuff is set up this evening to be good to go tomorrow. Because I'm not going to be in the war room and not a good day to be touching grass. Also, case in point, where it's better to post like dad joke memes like Josh Ong does to farm this stuff than act like I probably spent, I don't know, a half hour compiling this data, compiling this chart, and it got like 7 views. But it's real math. And this is, I was mentioning the Kaido staking, 72% goes to that top 25. This is the fee split. 4% fee after Meteora, 18% goes to the Kaido stakers.
Could you zoom in on that or click on the graphic? Click on the graphic, and what it does is make it bigger and keeps the tweet there. So what is this? Explain what I'm looking at here, because I saw this tweet, and I think one of the reasons it was confusing, like, is like I saw this and like I'm like, I like the numbers guy, but I was trying to break this down. Like, I like what you're doing here. So what you're saying is what? Like Kaido stakers.
So if you stake 100 Kaido, that puts you'd be in the top 2,500. If you had 100 Kaido staked right now. So
what if you have 1,000? Let's use these numbers like straight up for let's say 1,000 Kaido.
1,000 puts you in the top 500, I believe. Don't hold me to this numbers. Things could change because there has been about $2 million. I did this number here, 23 million. This was the total Kaido staked yesterday afternoon. It's now north of 25 million. So in the last 24 hours, $2 million of extra Kaido has been staked. So these numbers are off slightly, but you would, if you have 1,000 Kaido staked, you're riding this 201 to 500 rank. Now, they may not do it this week. They may do a straight percentage. It may not be a tier-based distribution. I have no idea. If they were to tier it out, this is off I used someone else's tiers, how they broke it up. The top account, would get 1% of the fees. The top next 4 accounts, so on and so forth. The 1,500 accounts that are ranked 1,000 to 2,500 would divide 20% of the fees.
And that top number's market cap you have. So like for 25 million, for example,
trading volume. So because that's what the fees are coming from. It doesn't matter what the market cap was. This thing could go to zero. And if there's $100 million in trading fees, Kaido is getting 720 grand in Solana to give to their stakers.
So I am not a shitcoin expertise here. What do you think is a realistic trading volume number?
I'm not that. We need someone to weigh in. Like, I'd love to hear from Sugar Shane or someone in the trenches. I thought this was pretty conservative for a weekly number, not forever, but in certainly the first 24 hours. Dude, there could be, I don't know, maybe there could be 50 million in the first 24 hours for all I know in volume. I thought 5 was pretty conservative to start there. That's also paid out on a weekly basis. So I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I should probably done more research there. I think this is a pretty 5 million to 100 million in a weekly volume. I think it's pretty conservative. Maybe 100 million's on the higher end of the range. But, you know, let's say there is $50 million in trading volume done in week 1. That means like I would get around somewhere between these two tiers for having 75% of the Kaido that I got for free staked. Like the math starts to add up. Imagine if this volume run for a month and you you got a couple grand of Kaido staked and you're getting $300 a week. Like, this is the game-changing component to me, is the ongoing, I don't want to say rev share. It is rev share, but the ongoing fee share, the ongoing fee split. Like, this is Web3 to me. Like, this is what got me, one of the things that got me so excited about this space is the opportunity to build here and help these businesses grow and then win in the upside. And most of the stuff, Steve, like the whole like building, you know, bringing your community along, for most of these brands, it's just a meme. Like, the only way the community really gets brought along is A, future airdrops, B, the token price goes up and they could sell their asset. Very few have actually shared in any sort of revenue stream or profit stream. And I don't know, maybe we get a Wells notice next week and we don't see any more of this, but I would be giddy if every dApp, every protocol, everything that launched for the remainder of 2025, there was some sort of fee split. I mean, imagine if this is how Pump.Fund launched. You know, like I know people wanted to dunk on Boop. I'm going to guess the Boop mechanics indirectly or directly influenced Ultra in some of these mechanics. Might have directly influenced the revenue split, the fee split. Like, I just like more of this, please. Like, this is what really gets me excited. Because if someone's minting an NFT and they can come out and say, like, again, Howie test, Schmowie test, I get all that. But if it was like, oh, our mentors are going to, we're going to share 50% of the fees on this business we're building in perpetuity for any of our holders, you got my attention.
Yeah, it is interesting. And like, I think like that fee part, like you mentioned again, like this might be one where like it helps out where you're like stake your Kaido before this. And like I did. So I guess we'll see, man. I'm
that's what I think we see maybe Saturday, even if we don't see anything from Loud. I wouldn't be, they've done that. They did this on the last one, on the last claim. I can't remember the name of it, but you basically like, it was multiple seasons. You claimed the first season to participate in the second and third season. You had to stake it. Like, that was Kaido's rules. Now they probably obviously agreed to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if you comes out tomorrow and Kaido throws something else on top of this for stakers, for holders. Who knows? Maybe there's nothing and it goes straight to zero and everyone's making fun of those who sold their soul for, $50. But I think that is an outcome. I think it's not as likely as it doing okay, at least.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually, in the meantime, I was trying to figure out, but this is a total digression that happened because I was like just checking on a thing Kaido related on the timeline, and I saw like a crown ape sold, and I was seeing if it was King Blackboard, who I don't see on the timeline anymore, I realized. And as a side note, we mentioned NFT seasons back. We're gonna be talking Good Vibes Club here in a second. Did you I was looking at the crown apes to see which one might be King Blackboard. One of the last sales there was 198 ETH. Which doesn't seem crazy 2 years ago, but sorry, I didn't mean to totally digress there. I was actually tracking, I was following, and then I see this, I was on the timeline looking for a specific tweet related to what you were saying, and I see this ape selling, and it's oh, okay, I wonder if that was King Blackboard. And so I go to click on OpenSea real quick, boom. That said, two things. I want to do more, and then after we do more, I want to hit on a couple things for the next 10 minutes before Good Vibes Club. Does that work? Because we've been loud and
we do need to hit on a few other things.
Yeah, so let's do that.
The more you know, brought to you by ENS.
It's time for The More You Know, brought to you by our friends at ENS. And look, in crypto, attention is the alpha. We've seen this playbook time and time again. Ben.eth, a not so great example. When the entire ecosystem ran off viral threads, Pac Moon exploded with a meme-first identity. Portal Coin rewarded people just for tweeting. And even NFT allow lists used to go to the loudest voices on the timeline. Voltura and Psychedelics Anonymous, anyone? But now attention marketing is leveling up. Kaido is turning signal into structure, tracking who's talking, rewarding real engagement, and building a layer of influence. StayLoudio, getting loud, has been a huge latest evolution, and is 74% of the mindshare this morning on crypto Twitter alone. Creators earning for driving narrative, not just pumping bags. It's the new meta. Attention is the product, and the feed is the battlefield. The winners, they own the conversation. Welcome to the era of attention-fueled crypto. And that was The More You Know, brought to you by ENS. ENS does more than you know, not just anchoring your name across Web3, but anchoring across the internet. It's your identity, simple, memorable, and unmistakably yours. Security, interoperability, and ease of use. Go to ens.domains to get your ENS domain today. Cap, let's get off that for a second and talk about some other things, because I have the following on my tick list, so we can hit whatever we want to hit on here. OpenSea 2, which we can talk about as well. I'm going to probably do a video on it. It's beautiful. There's a whole reward system where you can earn for, and there, it's a little clunky early on as coming out the gate as expected, where it's like, but it's like smart things where it's like, you can buy a Solana token on OpenSea, $5 worth, get you a badge. Like, they're starting their earning chest badges, like, you know, their activity volume. So if you haven't gone to OpenSea and connected your wallets, you should, because there's already things waiting for you. But this has to mean C is coming in at some point. I don't know when. I don't know if they have a planned date or not, but the reward system has begun.
Yeah, and we're bearing the lead. Shout out to our celebrity friend Dort, who was featured in the video.
Well, we're going to get on that in about 10 minutes, but sure.
We'll dive deeper on the video, the creators behind the video and all that. Maybe Steve and I have a cameo in there as well. Just to tie it together real quick, and then last mention, that tweet, 55,000 likes, 1.1 million impressions. It was sent 18 hours ago. OpenSea has 3% of the mindshare after just maybe their best tweet of the year. And they've got 3% mindshare because of the timeline right now. Wild.
Best video we've seen since Other Side. Best video we've seen in crypto since Other Side, right?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Kobe had a pretty funny tweet about that, but I'm not going to. Not exactly. He just said this would have really cooked if it was like April of 2021.
Yeah, this is it's actually true, but great video. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But again, the platform itself, I think the noteworthy thing here is, I think OpenSea, and by the way, it's hilarious to your point. Like, I know you have the distro up top of FTX. SEC dismisses dismisses case against Binance. SEC states proof of stake does not constitute a transaction in a security. Like, all of these wonderful, bullish, winning things that are happening, and we're talking about StayLoudio. I think after tomorrow, we'll get a little more going on. I purchased Claynosaur packs, OpenSea 2, and yet here we are StayLoudio. Go ahead.
I'll be right back. Sorry, I've got someone knocking, but I've had technicians out. They weren't supposed to be here until 10, but I might need to step away for a few seconds. I'll be as quick as I can.
Do your thing. I will do this. I'm going to go OpenSea 2 and I'm going to give a little bit of love to it, because here's what I think is interesting. Magic Eden had their TGE. It went well. Credit to Magic Eden on their TGE for going well. That was a great payout for a lot of people with a lot of diamonds. Now they're looking like they're doing some leaderboard stuff as well. They're finding new ways to distribute Magic Eden. I like OpenSea 2, and I like that they're using questing with the airdrop to get you to use their product. This is the way to do it, in my opinion. This is the way to properly create a structure of rewards. The general nature of reward system is they reward you for positive actions within your environment to do things, right? And they figure out ways to up-level you into new products. So to give an example, Starbucks is brilliant at this. I am drinking a black coffee from Starbucks. That is all I drink, is black coffee from Starbucks, black coffee at home, black coffee. When they were doing Starbucks Odyssey, I purchased beans because it got me a reward, because it got me a badge. And by the way, that ended up being a profitable badge. It was worth like $75 afterwards, or I could hold it, which I did, as a collectible to ultimately redeem something in the reward system. They got me to purchase new drinks. Now, I got a pumpkin spice latte, gave it a sip, remembered why I don't like flavored drinks. Not my thing. Wife loves them. I have friends who love them. That's great. But there's this like iced oat milk shaken espresso or something. It's like a little bit of oat milk in an espresso, shake it around, takes the edge off a little bit. Now I like coffee that is as black and bitter as my soul, which is actually a weird thing to say because I'm probably the most happy-go-lucky Labrador retriever on the planet, but you get the point. I was buying those more often. Or it's like a little mission where it's like, hey, you got to buy a food item. I'm like, all right, let me try this vanilla bean custard Danish. And then I'm like, shit, that's pretty delicious. And then my son tried it and liked it. Now, when vanilla bean custard Danish is in season, my son wants it. So the idea of a reward system is how can they slightly up-level you and sell you into something new? Not necessarily take you far away from your delineation of what you want to do, but how do you up-level a little bit? This questing system that OpenSea is putting in, I had never bought a single token on Sol. Yeah, I use Abstract at OpenSea as well, by the way. And that's in double XP. Yeah, I've used Abstract and OpenSea. Because I got a rare final Bossu. It was awesome. I didn't know it was rare when I showed it to the timeline. I sold it because it was way above floor, and I went right back in and bought another final Bossu that I really liked at the floor. Did it on OpenSea. People are going to be trading there, obviously. But to me, the way they're approaching this, they have a great rewards hub and portal. I had never bought a token on OpenSea. I bet a lot of people didn't know you could. I bought like $20 worth of Pangu or something like that. Just easy. Just switch some Sol into Pangu. Boom. Reward badge. Need to make a gallery. I put 2 Good Vibes Club in a gallery. Dort, you can go in OpenSea. You can take all your Good Vibes Club, put it in a gallery. Boom. Badge. Reward. Bought an NFT. Spent like $12 buying a goat that looked like a Tiger Woods goat that I thought was cool off the floor from the goats collection back in the day. Some nostalgic purposes. Boom. Badge reward. Now, was I going to go out and buy a goat today? Was I going to go out and buy more Pangu today? No. OpenSea designed a reward system that, in my mind, got me to spend $20 on their platform. Easy to do. I go out to breakfast on Friday sometimes after the show and sit at the breakfast bar at a local place. Instead, I'm going to not do that this morning. Boom, I have my $20 covered. So I think the way that they're doing the reward system is really good. I think that you can attach multiple wallets. You can switch between multiple wallets. The only clunky part is you have to re-sign in on your various wallets when you go back to the rewards things. So you have to re-sign in on your Solana wallet, re-sign on your... So there's a little bit of that. Overall, though, OpenSea's coming to play, man. Product looks good. I'm seeing them on the timeline more. Saw them with the replies yesterday a little bit more. So to me, it's like bullish indicator for that platform. And the way I have approached Abstract, I have created a nice little sort of moat for myself on Abstract as far as being in the top 1% earners. Now, I'm not a big major earner, but I'm a pretty top earner. I'm continuing to do that on Abstract. I'm going to be doing that OpenSea. I'm going to be putting myself in a good position for the C token. That is my goal as I run into this thing. So, I don't know.
Good call, I think. And I think this is also, like, just to reiterate.
Let me finish. Sorry, let me say one more thing. I apologize. One more thing. The way that I got ahead, by the way, OpenSea looks like it's down now, by the way, when I try to go over to it. Not great, as I'm saying this. That's coffee with Captain effect. Last thing I'll say, then I'll hand it right back to you. I got in Abstract early, and I went badge hunting. No, I didn't get certain badges. I didn't like play Duper. I didn't get that badge. There's other badges I didn't get. I have gone badge hunting on Abstract, and I have played the game on Abstract, and I've got my Pangu, and I have my Lil, and I've been considering a big, all those things. And I have this great lead that might be hard to catch up if I continue to do that. You can do that in OpenSea starting today. This is your chance, today. Yes, there were crates that went out previously. They launched. You can go on there today. You can go get 4 achievements that have 1 day left in them. Like, do it. So, like, that is I'm not telling you to spend money. I'm not saying it's going to be plus EV or anything like that. But my message that I was trying to get across is today is a day you can start and say OpenSea is a major platform. They're going to probably have a big FDV when it comes out because it is such a big platform the way Magic Eden does. Now is your chance to start to get yourself to play in that game. And by the way, they have a Kaido leaderboard. I don't know if they're paying for it or not, but they're on the Kaido mindshare. So talking about them might be able to help you out there. Maybe they'll use that mechanism. Maybe they won't. I have no idea. But it's definitely within the range of possibility. So I think OpenSea is underrated an opportunity here. But Cap, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree. And now is like, just as you're talking about earlier, like now is the time. If you're not into this StayLoud thing, fully understand that. Double down on some of the other stuff that there is opportunities in this space, because if 75% of the timeline is talking about StayLoud, 75% of the timeline probably isn't talking about OpenSea. They're probably not doing the quest. There's probably less competition on Abstract this week. It's just like, I see our guy, actually, I think we lost him. Grateful popped in. He's out again. I mentioned that Somnia activity period ends today. Like there's a lot of things. It's going to be kind of contradict myself because everyone is like the best time to talk about stuff was when no one's talking about it or it's not front and center of attention. Exception being StayLoud right now, but it's much easier to get ahead of things when it's not the center of attention. Case in point, your OpenSea quest and that sort of stuff. Get a little lead there. And then when it gets closer to TGE, when they make those announcements and all the KOLs start, it's just a lot more challenging. It's a lot more noisy. So, and then last thing on this, kind of, Diego here talking about just, with C coming up gives them a significant competitive advantage over OpenSea, over Magic Eden. Just on the whole InfoFi front, lost in the news yesterday was Magic Eden launched their own, or a third party, but their own. They were even calling it Yappers. Like the attention, attention's always been important, not just in Web3. I think of like Gary Vee was the first one that popped in my head in terms of like he day trades attention. It's always been a thing here. We've seen things from spamming Portal Coin, hashtag this or tag that. It's really evolved to the point where not only are we seeing Kaido competitors, most of the leading like they're either going to work with Kaido or Cookie or Quacks or one of these competitors, or they're going to spin up something of their own or proprietary, because it's just a better way to identify who your brand ambassadors are. Way better than like you think back to like the way we did this previously is you had to do like Discord calisthenics and it was all like manually tracked and there was no transparency. The cabals all got their free. It's just like this is just a far better way to reward your brand ambassadors, your supporters. And I have a hard time seeing the leading protocols in the space not participate in some way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, I agree. Now is probably a great time to get ahead of the curve with OpenSea stuff. And because there's going to be people who won't do this. They're not going to be paying attention to it right now. The first 4 quests are going to end. And, that there's going to be people that are going to have to be playing catch up after that. So, yeah, good call.
I think OpenSea has a chance to really have a moment and capture the flag right now, because they like sometimes like you talk about like great businesses. Sometimes you need a little luck. You always need a little luck in life, right? Like at the same time, you can work really hard. You can do all the right things. A little luck helps. OpenSea coming along and getting to witness not just StayLoud the past few and being like, hey, man, how can we use that? And they can get creative with it if they wanted to. OpenSea being able to come along post Kaido when Magic Eden didn't have that. Like, OpenSea may not even be working with Kaido, right? They just talk about like a pre-TGE leaderboard. It doesn't mean they're paying them. I don't think anyway. I'm not positive, but I don't think you have to be paid to be on there. They're just measuring mindshare on Kaido with certain things, right?
Yeah, correct. No, I mean, it's just like the mindshare leaderboard that's not, that's just all of CT. They're measuring everything. It's just to get in like the pre-TGE arena. That's where they got to cut a check.
Right. And so for them just being on the mindshare leaderboard, it's very like legit that like people just assume that means airdrop. Now, maybe they use it, maybe they don't. I think they would be smart to use it. But like, even if they don't, like they have this thing that's happening right now that if they pull out, Pengu is very honest about like, look, we're not going to have Abstract was very honest about we're not going to have TGE till Q4. So we're probably looking at like September, November, October, December, whatever it is. I don't know why I said September. You get the point. Similarly, it's like if OpenSea comes out and has a similar conversation, they have a chance to have people farm it till then. But it's like within that farming, they're getting people to use their product. It's not just, look, I love StayLoudio. I will have everything positive to say about it for the next 24 hours, 25 hours, whatever. But what they're doing is getting attention, but we don't know what's going to happen after tomorrow. OpenSea has a product. And by the way, Loud has been very honest. Our product is attention. That's it. OpenSea's product is a product. They have token swaps now. They've got galleries. They've got a beautiful platform. They've got all these chains. They've got drops. They've got content. They're going to be able to get you to do all those things, and you may find some of it sticky. They have months probably to get your attention in the long term. And then what happens? Like, do they just take the mind share away because they've timed it right and they've made it work? everyone's yelling at OpenSea about dropping a token for this long. They may have just timed it out perfectly with the market. And by the way, like, favorable crypto market going on. So I think, with Bitcoin, I know, like, Legendary made a comment. He's like, everybody's so concentrated on Laudio. He's like, myself included, I'm farming. He's like, I don't think anybody, I think half of CT doesn't know that ETH is down 4% on the day. I'm like, I'm half a CT. I didn't know that ETH was down. I was just riding. There's like probably 5 things I would have tweeted about that weren't related to it. It's like some days I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to tweet about today. Yesterday, I bought a Klanos pack. Yesterday, we had Good Vibes Club flipping doodles for a period of time. Yesterday, we had, good SEC rulings. Yesterday, we had the OpenSea trailer. Yesterday, our apes were in the OpenSea trailer. I tweeted about none of it. So going to be happening in the coming days, but like OpenSea has a chance to do that. And the platform is good. So I'm going to be honest. Like, I was kind of slamming on OpenSea too when I was at one point. One of the people at OpenSea reached out to me and was like, hey, brother, like, have you tried the platform? I'm like, no, I've just seen it. I wasn't allowed in the, closed beta or whatever. I was pouting a little still. And they're like, do you want me to put you on the list? Just give me your wallet address. And I use it. I'm like, shit, this is pretty slick. And so I got to use it. And like, they basically sat there and like, what a case study in turning a detractor into somebody who likes something, where I was like having a commentary about it. Like, they walked back the blur thing. And then they turned me into a person using the platform. So, anyway.
Ooh, I was going to, he's out there now. So I grateful. I don't think you lucked out. I was trying to get people to dilute your Somnia lead. I mentioned that the activity period runs through today, Steve. I just saw it. Actually, the snapshot was at 9 a.m. Eastern. So congratulations to those that have been yapping Somnia. And took advantage while everyone else, looked at the shiny toy that was loud. And there's several other. I mean, you can see there's 26 current campaigns on this leaderboard. It's not the only one. It's just that happened to be one that ended today. They do kick off. Oh no, that one's already completed. But yeah, so just it's worth exploring, worth checking out. And congratulations to Grateful and anyone else who's going to be getting some of that 35,000 from Somnia today.
Yeah, shout out to them. And by the way, apparently I didn't put it in the calendar invite. Good Vibes Club was asking about like the StreamYard link, and I realized I'm like, oh, I generally put it in the invite, but I'll see if I didn't. I will share it from here as well. So sorry if that was the case. I try to always fill the invite with all the info, but I might have missed it on this one in the crazy loud 48 hours.
I can do a quick reset here if you want to. I'll get Shotgun in here real quick if you want to see if you can go grab that. I see Chris just joined us up on stage, and then we'll get rolling. Everyone, if you don't mind, we got our guest joining us here. If you haven't done so already, we would really appreciate the love on the space today. A like, a repost, a bookmark. Drop your comments. Any questions you have for the team, drop those in the chat down below. We also do have an open stage if the team has time. We're glad to do Q&A on the stage, but fire them off in the chat, and we'll do our best to get through each and all of those. And again, really appreciate y'all being here. Looking forward to this discussion for sure. And Steve, before we jump into all things Good Vibes, I do apologize for having to step out there for a second. It was not the technician who's supposed to be here at 10. It was my neighbor knocking on my front door because Duke was just sitting outside. No idea how he got outside. Snuck out at some point, but yeah, he's just been hanging outside for the last hour apparently, and not chasing cats in the neighborhood, not running away, just chilling on the front porch. So good boy this morning. And
my cat one time got outside when I was in Columbus at the quarry, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And we must have left the door open when we were like bringing out some trash or something. We couldn't find my cat and we were freaking out. And it's funny because he was a big, almost 20-pound cat. And you're thinking in your mind, like, oh man, like, who knows? I love this cat. What could have happened to him? He walked out probably thinking he was the king, freaked out, ran into the bushes right out in front of my house. Like we're like, oh my God, where is he? We're running around the complex. And all of a sudden we hear like this like sheepish meow. And we look, the bushes directly in front of my house. So that cat became got real scared real quick after getting really excited. Probably where the term scaredy cat comes from. But I know we got Ty in the room. I know Chris is going to come in here in a second. Did DM the StreamYard link. So feel free to jump in there as needed. And I'm going to start by bringing up Ty because Ty's my guy. And we'll just maybe we'll like keep Chris on ice in the room for a while. I kid, but gentlemen, Really excited to welcome on the Good Vibes Club. If you're not familiar with Ty and Chris, I don't know if you've not been paying attention, because before the past 24 hours when the timeline was all Laudio, Good Vibes Club has had an unbelievable run. Forget about the floor price. Let's just talk about the vibes. The timeline's filled with them. People are liking them. We're seeing massive sales. We're seeing kindness where Dort, our guy Dort, our good friend Dort, your good friend Dort, is getting a little bit of like a payout from a large sale because he's just being a good community member. So, gentlemen, before we get into anything, how are you feeling on this wonderful Friday morning?
Dude, thank you guys so much for having us on. We're feeling amazing. It's been a pretty wild last 24 hours with our highest ever sale and also with OpenSea partnership news finally dropping. That's been kind of in the works for a little while. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been fantastic. And honestly, that moment that you just described with Dort and this sort of like organic, give back to the community that I believe is what embodies what our community aims to be about and aims to push, was the coolest part. Like, it was so cool to see that moment just happen and transpire, where essentially the seller of the 1-of-1 Vibe Foot gave a small percentage to Dort because he secured the Twitter handle and the social handles for Vibe Foot and gave him over for free, essentially. That was so cool. That was what ultimately GVC is all about. It's all about, authentic positivity and authentic community. So to see that, it was fantastic, man. And it's been a wild ride.
It's almost as if there's a culture of good vibes or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's been great.
Can you talk a little bit about that though? Because there is this weird magnetism people have towards the collection. And I have my thoughts on it, but I want to get yours. Cause I'll give you an example. I had a rare I had gotten way back when. I sold the rare when everything ran up because I was like, you know what? Like, this is like, I need the money right now. It's a great opportunity. And then what did I do? I immediately bought 2 ones that have the same hair as me on the floor, like the same IRL hair as me or similar hair as me on the floor. And I painstakingly went over traits with my wife and kids until we got the ones. I barely missed out. By the way, there was another one I was looking at and the floor ran up so quickly that I couldn't get the exact one I was looking at after that, but I got 2 more immediately. What do you think is going on there where people like me are like, the second that we are not sitting on one in our wallet, we're like, that's a thing I still want to be a part of. Like, and not only that, we go trait shopping. I did it with my family. I did it with my wife. And like, what do you think that thing is that we're capturing right now?
Do you want to go, Ty, or do you want me to take this?
Yeah, I think also, good morning, guys. I'm so stoked to be on. Yeah, I think really it's a testament to Chris and Dreezy. Like, we spent 3.5 years creating high-end art in 3D at scale. And a large part of that was making sure the collection felt so diverse. And what it really is a collection for collectors. And so, it's something that I didn't expect because I've been staring at it for, years at this point. And then, even myself, I can't stop, looking at, different things in the collection and wanting to build my collection in certain ways. And badges also play a role. But, the level of fidelity in each image and the level of detail down to like the tiny little pins that are placed by hand on all the different shirts and whatnot. It's just so fun to see different people be drawn to different things. And so that's really cool because I myself might be attracted to like, one thing with golds or whatever, whereas Chris is like maybe not as into it as much as me. And that's okay. But it's really cool to see, different people within the community kind of be drawn to different things. And it's been so fun to watch too.
I think that's part of the point. Like, the reason we spent so long creating such a diverse collection is 2 sort of main things. One, that exact point of like something for everyone sort of idea. There's like grayscale, there's highly rainbow, there's golds, there's really everything. And then 2, we wanted to make sure that there is no floor vibey. Like, the curation is so, I guess, like we spent so long on the curation for the purpose of trying to make sure that even like the bottom most vibey or whatever still feels really good, still feels premium, and ultimately still feels like an identity that someone could be really excited to own and to develop themselves. So to see that kind of come to life and to see that happening within the community is great. I mean, I'm also collecting and really, really stoked to collect. And I'm constantly like trying to ask different community members, hey, can I talk to you about a trade here? And they're like, I'm really emotionally attached to this vibey. And as the artist, it's the greatest thing to see because that's what you want. You want to be able to have an identity that people can emotionally connect to, because at the end of the day, that's what the IP and the brand is. It's a brand that is designed to emotionally connect with folks and also champion a message that we think is really, really important.
Can I, okay. So like, you're almost like, you're playing it like very, very cool and saying like, hey, as an artist, you like to see that. Dude, is it just like the coolest thing in the like? Like you
It is. It's
spend
amazing.
so much
It's
time
amazing.
on it. Like I'm sitting here and
Yeah,
I'm stoked.
dude.
Like I'm getting goosebumps hearing it. Like you spent so much time on this, and people like me are like looking at things, and like the second one with like shiny mint hair hits the floor, I'm like, that's not a floor vibe. How do I get that? Like it's gotta be like the coolest thing to be like your artist celebrated.
Dude, it is an unreal feeling, especially because, there were thousands of hours where I was sitting, just in the dark room working at 3 a.m. on like a texture of a shirt, or literally hand positioning like a little pin on like a lapel or something. And so to kind of go from there to now, like where everyone is seeing the art and stoked on it and connecting with it, man, it's honestly the dream. Like this kind of goes back to way back early in your career as an artist. You become an artist because you're really excited to create for the joy of creating. You want to express yourself, right? And then you start to do commercial work as a means to fund that. And so now with this opportunity of Good Vibes Club, it's like we can create and build this IP that we want to build for fun and for the love of it, while also building a sustainable business and then having these other sort of business partnerships that can reinforce the IP and reinforce the brand and ultimately build the business as well as a supplementary thing. So it's really cool to go from like, primarily commercial art to now primarily building your own IP and then using commercial art as a supplementary tool. It's a dream come true. Literally.
Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic too, because I remember having conversations like in like 2022 and like 2023, like, as we're, working on everything, like, dude, do you think people are even going to care? Like, do you think that people are going to notice some of these things? Like, and then to be here, now, and like after, the OpenSea video dropping yesterday, I mean, it's not even been a full 24 hours and it's got over 1 million, views on it. And it's like, it's just so humbling, the market reception that we've had with the community and, the collection itself. But like, there was a time where it was like, do you think people are going to even care? Like, do you think they're going to notice? And so
yeah, Ty's like, stop positioning pins on lapels and can you please get back to the client about this client piece we're working on? I'm like, no.
That's true.
That's amazing. It's so interesting too, because like, and I promise we'll get to the OpenSea video, but I'm so excited about like the direction, because it's like it couldn't have come at a better time. Like the OpenSea video almost came into the same crescendo that the excitement around the Vibe Put Sale and all these other things going on. It's a crazy confluence of things. And I got, if you don't mind giving people like the different things, because like we had Klanos on yesterday and everything they do is high effort. And
we
then
love Klanos. They're dope.
It's almost like there's this like group of like teams, like you and Klanos fit into this category where it's like everything is high effort. You don't just mail it in on things. And I look at the site and, coming out of the site, there was the Zoom, which I thought was a really cool feature to see the actual details and the scratches in the mask and the hats and things like that. You had, the gallery view. You started putting on badges. Can you talk a little bit about that collector philosophy and going on to it? Because you hit it at a high level. For people who maybe aren't familiar, who are here in the chat today, it's a high effort club about collecting, about togetherness. So talk a little bit about that for those who maybe aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, for sure. Quality is super important to us. And I think that's why we spent so long on the collection, is that we weren't willing to sacrifice the level of quality that we know we're capable of and that we want to uphold in everything that we do. And so with some of those other things, like you mentioned, like badges, some of the site experiences and whatever, they all reinforce this idea of creating like a holistic collector experience, right? Because it's a collection for collectors. It's high-end art at scale in 3D. And so, creating different ways in which people can interact with the IP and build affinity towards it. And, people, become emotionally attached, I myself included, to some of their vibes and whatnot, and creating like a system around that reinforces that emotional connection, that allows people to have fun, and I think like this is the really important thing about NFTs in the space, is that, fun is so important and sometimes it's often forgotten. And so if you can design things around that, it really sets itself up to have like a really interesting dynamic with your community in which everybody can just, vibe out. And I think that's what makes the Discord so much fun. Like I'm in there all day and it's a blast.
Is there pressure that goes along with that to some degree, with like this like hype that you're getting? Like, do you feel like, is it like a combination of excitement and pressure, or is it just like, hey, like full speed ahead, we've got a plan, we're executing, and we let the chips fall where they may? Like, or is there like a, oh God, like, I don't know if we expected it to be this better than we expected, even in our, what's going on here?
For us, I feel like we were kind of built for it. Like we're really used to working on like high end stuff. Like we rebranded Facebook Messenger in 2021, and that was seen by billions of people. So I kind of feel like we were kind of built for this sort of stage in terms of our ability to execute. Like I'll just touch on the team here. Like Ty handling business side of things is insane. It's such a powerhouse like sort of team with Ty and then all of the artists and then myself and then everybody. Like I kind of describe it to people like I feel like if you're able to find the top 1% in their respective niches at what they do and combine them, you're able to like multiply that sort of output of impact like 10 or 20 or 100x. It's just ridiculous. Like the OpenSea video was made with a team. It was a kind of a large team, but each person had like their very specialized role, like the water sim absolute specialist, the transition specialist, the lighting like absolute specialist, right? And so when you take all of those things and you combine them, that's when I think that you're able to create something that's truly great. And so to kind of see that happening is really, really cool to witness the unfolding of that before it. And I'm really, really just grateful to be a part of it.
In that same breath, I also think it's really humbling. Like, sure, yes, like our whole thing is like, we're not going to come out and sell people in the world. Like we're going to underpromise and overdeliver. Like we would rather show you what we can do versus just talk about it all the time. And, obviously there's an element of that that's really important too. But, this whole idea of like show versus tell and, to see the reception that we've had from the wider market so far has just been incredible. Like it's exceeded, obviously you have like a vision for what you want it to be and what you think its potential is. And so, it's exceeded that in a lot of really beautiful ways. And I think that, as much as you're intentional with how you interact with everybody one-on-one within your community, Zane, what up, dude? I saw that earlier and it made me smile.
Zane, let's go.
Yes. I think it just reinforces that where it's like, the main energy is just, people are just stoked and vibing out. And, on the back end, sure, we're shipping badges. Sure, we're doing a million different things, but, we're also working on a massive production that we weren't even able to tell anybody about. And to see that just kind of come out and hit everybody in the face, like from our community that had no idea that we were working on it, it was so sick. Like to be able to be like, hey, we're doing all these other things. We're here every day vibing out, but also like we have the chops in the team, in the infrastructure, in the pipeline in order to do things at a large scale. And, here's an example of it. And so it's really exciting times for us.
That was maybe the thing that I took away from it, which is sort of the counterintuitive takeaway is like, look, I knew you guys were stone cold killers from, I hung out with Chris in Paris. I've talked with you guys, Ty and I are in the DMs. I think we're cut from the same cloth. And it's like, yeah. I just like what I think that shows everybody is this is, the video that was kind of considered the standard for videos in Web3 for good video work was the video that we saw from Other Side a few years ago. Yeah. And then OpenSea's had some good ones too, as well, that have come out. But this one just was a beautiful work of art. It featured a lot of community members. Before we get into the video itself, I was going to say, my takeaway is like, if anybody thought you weren't good at executing, I think this is a good show there to say, hey, we can execute a little bit here. And you saw some people in the timeline, I think you saw Clemente being like, oh shit, Good Vibes Club's behind this video. And so I guess like, before we get into that, how does this even, you have Toast, you've obviously got the background, you've got the chops. How does this come to be? How do you connect with OpenSea for the most important launch in the history of OpenSea to create their video? And then, we'll talk about how it became so awesome, but how do you even start that conversation? What happened there? How did that go down?
Yeah. It's funny because we connected one-on-one with Adam Hollander. He's somebody who I absolutely respect and have for a long time. And this was before we started. This was like maybe the first couple of weeks of when we started our like go-to-market before even Mint. This is months and months ago,
like December earlier.
Yeah. And so we had an awesome conversation with him. And then he's somebody whose brain I picked a couple times throughout the process. And, right after we minted out, I mean, I'm sure you guys remember that day, like, market sentiment was at an all-time low since FTX. And it was just incredible that it even minted out in the way that it did. And, he hit us up like, yo, congratulations. And that was really awesome. But he tossed me in a chat with another person, on his team. And it was the first week that he had started working, at OpenSea. And at that point, it was pretty down low that he was the CMO. And, we made him an honorary OpenSea, PFP'd it. And, production fidelity, within the honorary was nice and whatnot. But we just, the conversation just kind of happened organically. And he was like, you know what, this is, good timing for us to connect because we also have our commercial animation studio. And so, it's interesting, like we've been working with all those brands in Web 2 for years, but, as a Web 3 IP, I think that we're uniquely positioned to help, tell stories within the space that, know and resonate with all the different IPs that are there. Like, how do you create a brand moment for UFD that feels UFD, or Doodles puking into the water with the rainbow puke? Like, looking for different moments as you're trying to architect a larger story while knowing these brands intimately because you've seen them for years and they've done so many incredible things in the space that you love and adore. That's, I think, really important. So like, as a Web3 IP with a commercial animation studio, it's very interesting sort of setup in which like it allows us to supplement on the business side in a way that not only proliferates the IP, but it also enables us to build organically in the right way without needing to extract from people, which is something that we're also sick of seeing, for years on end in the space. And so it happened organically, and it's really exciting because, to be able to like level up the production fidelity across a lot of their other assets in the future, I think it's going to be really exciting for us.
It's such a good, I'm just such a marketing nerd, so I just see the brief from it in my head about how you want to, show that it's the gathering place for the community to, and it's just the way that you did it. It's like, I watched that video and then I back engineer the brief in my head and I'm like, they fucking nailed the brief. So it's really cool to see like that go and kind of like see everything unfold. And I think a lot of people can appreciate it. So how did you make creative decisions about even sort of like individuals you included in there? So like I saw our guy Dort front and center. Again, Dort's one of the things all four people on this chat have in common is Dort is one of our favorite people in the ecosystem. He is literally the definition of what a community member should be in
Not sure
any community.
That, but he's officially been nominated for the mayor of Vibetown this morning. The nominations are in. He got enough.
Let's go.
Yeah, he got enough signatures to get on the ballot, so he's got my vote.
He's on the ballot. But like, how do you
get him on the ballot?
How do you go about that when you're going through to do that? And like, how important was that, I guess, to the process of what you're creating? Because you obviously had like the Doodles puking was like one of my favorite moments. I'm like, what a creative execution of an NFT brand crossing over there. How do you decide what were you thinking about when you were thinking about including community members? Like what goes in that decision? How do you include how do you decide to go so heavy on that versus just being more generic?
Honestly, it was a decision that kind of came from like our relationships and also from wanting to show love to the major projects that have pioneered and trailblazed, right? Like we wanted to make sure that we kind of incorporated like, okay, how can we take a Doodles iconic moment of Hap with the puke and then incorporate that into a motion signature that would make sense? And we thought that this concept of Hap puking into the water and turning it rainbow, and then that is what sort of spawns Unicorn Fart Dust, which is also sort of this rainbow kind of IP. How can we find moments like that throughout the piece and ultimately have like these really nice little key mark moments that call back to each brand? Like, for example, DK has a lot of animation in which his characters are jumping in a very sort of like Super Mario-esque video game kind of style. And so we wanted to make sure, okay, how can we take that and infuse that into the piece? Okay, maybe he's going to jump off this little bubble, and then that bubble will have Doge inside of it, send it slamming to the ground. It'll splash, Chad Doge emits, and whatnot, right? And then we're off to the races. And so the real thinking through us in terms of like our creative concepting was, how can we fit as many moments within the piece like that pay homage to these brands as possible? And so, yeah, to have kind of Dort be the ape and to have all of these other really, really dope moments, it just felt like our knowledge of the space and our sort of experience within the space allowed us to have the context to, make those decisions creatively.
Yeah. And I'll also add too, is like, this was a blitz of a production. Like normally this type of thing would take 6 months. Like that other side video that you mentioned, the studio Buck, which is a studio that Chris used to work at, ironically, with DK back in the day, and a lot of our artist friends. Buck is like the premier motion design studio in Web 2.
They're like the #1 in the world, like in terms of motion design. They're huge.
That team that was on the other side video was probably like around 60 people. It was a very long production. We made this within like 2 months, right? But it would have normally been a lot longer. And so throughout the process, we're making design decisions as we're storyboarding, as we're water simulating some of the different shots and mapping out the transitions and building assets in 2D. And so we wanted to look for moments in which we can give love to the people that make up the cultural fabric of not just Web3, but also communities. And so Dort, is the embodiment of that. I mean, we all love Dort, and for good reason. I think like he champions what it means to be a good steward of the space. And so, his ape specifically also had a facial rig that would really sell that moment of, because in the video, that's the first time you see a fungible token alongside an NFT IP. When the ape is looking at the ape coin and his mouth opens really wide, and the rig within that face, was just perfect. And so it was kind of an alignment of everything, to come together for that. But within the water bubbles, like we wanted to show love. We tossed you guys in too, and a lot of other folks. And so it was just a really fun exercise because we had to also like hand comp a lot of those bubbles. It was a process for Chris and a lot of the other artists.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for including us. First of all, I think we gave some shout outs or some love on the timeline, but since we got you on video today, like it really did, like, it means a lot. Like I won't speak for Steve, but it is one of those, like, this place gets so focused on the hyper financialized side of things from time to time. And it's like, that's all that matters is what some people think. And it's just like, I didn't receive $1 off that, but it meant more to, like, I was already a big fan. It made me even a bigger fan of you guys, right? It's just like little things like that, acknowledging those that are here. It's just like, I don't want to say it's simple because it does take time. You have to pay attention, but just the little things like that go a long way. And that's, I said earlier, I was saying like this space so much of like about building in public with your community, bringing them along. Yeah, that can be in the form of other airdrops or token drops or fee share, or it could be bringing them along and allowing them to actually participate, including them in your work. And this, I mean, Steve mentioned the Other Side trailer. We saw some really cool stuff from Doodles on this front. This was from my recollection, Steve, this was the first that did that for more than just their own community. Am I accurate? I mean, I guess Other Side trailer did include other communities, but this was just, I think it was a smash hit for all the reasons that have nothing to do with OpenSea's protocol. So to be able to successfully demo or what they're launching and give all these warm and fuzzies, all these good vibes throughout the space at large, just really well done.
Well, just to build a question on that, like from that philosophy, it feels like you guys are very big on. So this is one of my philosophies in life. This is another reason why I appreciate it, is like the unscalable is scalable in a way, in the sense that you do a lot of one-on-one interaction. There was some great honoraries coming into the collection for some people that I thought you did a great job picking out people like the Deezes and being careful. And I was lucky to get one. I'm sporting it today on the space. And it's like, you asked me specific questions and like, I felt like, oh no, I can't give tons of feedback because that's going to be what, and you're like, and like, Chris is just like, bring all the feedback. We're getting this right for you guys. Like, it was like, almost like I never felt bad doing so. So is that sort of one of your philosophies, is sort of like unscalable, scalable, those one-to-one interactions that become a force multiplier for the company because it's a smaller space? Or I'm curious your philosophy on that.
Absolutely. Honestly, it comes back to like the whole thesis statement of Good Vibes Club is a movement of authentic connection, right? And I think that what that means is having one-of-one connections with as many folks as possible. And so I think that the honoraries are a good example of that, because when we're crafting something for someone, we want them to feel as special as possible, right? Like, the whole idea of making art and creating joy and trying to spread joy through the art that you're creating, I think comes to fruition in a moment like that. And so we really wanted to make sure that we kind of got to know folks as good as we could in as quick a time as possible, so that we could say, hey, what do you really value? Like, okay, you really also value like the Shaka hand because that sort of embodies good vibes. Or, let's include like this really dope, like not novel, but like, book that you had written in the background, right? Like, how can we infuse like what makes it something special to you in this piece of art that we're creating ultimately for you, so that, it brings, I guess, the most joy, because that's at the end of the day what we want to do. And so, that's kind of like the ethos in terms of this one-of-one connection. How can we connect with folks? How can we, genuinely have like a relationship and build a relationship? Because at the end of the day, relationships are powerful. I think that that's sort of the core to the brand. We've seen that with Punk's brunches. Like, those brunches people love because they can connect and network with folks who are really awesome. And so I think that kind of just all ties in together. Relationships are important.
I love that. That is just a very cool, like, I like the way you're thinking about it. And it's like this, this tying to a sense of identity within those relationships and really understanding and listening to someone, because people like to be heard instead of, a lot of brands are like, hey, we sold our community as our community, but like people see their community as a nuisance. And I don't get that impression from y'all. So you do this video. It's awesome. Is there more of a relationship there with OpenSea? If you can talk about that, are there going to be more videos? Because I think like we were talking earlier before you got on here about OpenSea is having a moment and timing matters. And right now they happen to be a time when people pay attention to intention marketing. And by the way, they have a chance to do all these, reward-based activities. I think working with you guys can be cool. So is this a continual relationship? We're going to see more?
Yeah, I mean, the moment that OpenSea had yesterday is a reminder of is a reminder that they're like an 800-pound gorilla in the market. Like, they are like a central piece to the cultural fabric of Web3. And that's really what the video was an homage to, all of the different brands and IPs that sort of coalesce and make that up. But, with OpenSea, like, we wanted to come out and help them create a brand moment that was really powerful and inclusive for the wider space. And I think that video did that. But in terms of the partnership side, there's a lot of different ways in which, we're talking with them and that we can sort of up the production fidelity across, the branded different assets and whatnot. And so, yes, there's more to come, but like some of those specifics, like, are in the middle of, getting ironed out, and also things that we can't fully speak on. But yeah.
You can't speak on it. I'll speak on it, and just pure speculation from my part, Steve, because you brought it up. I wasn't even thinking that, but you talk about partnerships, collaborations, and owing thanks. I got a little stimmy this past week from SoFon. And I got it because I had good vibes in my wallet. Like, anything you could speak to on that? And beyond OpenSea, are there more? Is there anything on that partnership or collaboration, or is that just they reached out and said, "Hey, we love the community. We'd like to reward you"?
For SoFon specifically, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic than, obviously our partnership with OpenSea, but, that was freaking amazing. And we're so grateful for that. And our community is super stoked too. So, it's amazing when you see those sorts of things happen, by nature of just how, powerful and connected your community is with one another. And, you see that begin to proliferate, outside of it, which, is always very special. And so, we have a lot of love for that, and we're super appreciative of it.
I think in terms of like the overall vision, the partnership side of things and being able to bring commercial animation to other brands in Web3 is something that is a part of the vision. I think that we're uniquely positioned in order to kind of partner with other sort of big brands. We've already seen that a little bit with some of our honoraries, like, the Uniswaps and, some of those things. But overall, I think there's a huge opportunity for us to kind of work alongside of some other brands that sort of uplifts the Good Vibes Club IP while, furthering their production fidelity across their different collaterals in ways that are, of course, tasteful. But that is absolutely sort of the vision of GVC, is essentially these various commercial partnerships, OpenSea simply being the first of hopefully many to come.
That's really cool. No, it makes sense. And it's like sort of like this connection. So if you can even be more implicit about it, and you hit it on a little bit at the beginning, but you have Toast. That's obviously not only revenue generation, which is a lot of things that a lot of these brands don't have and say, where's the revenue generation? But it's also an opportunity to show off your chops and actually extend your community, as you've seen in this way, in a very organic way. Then you have Good Vibes Club, which is the community. Can you talk about the tie-in between those two things a little bit deeper and kind of how they interplay or will continue to interplay moving forward? Because, like, I think we were aware of Toast. We talked about it. We've shared some stuff on it. We've done that. I think a lot of people maybe weren't as familiar, and now they're like, oh, okay. So talk about how those two things connect and tie together.
Ultimately, I see Good Vibes Club is the evolution of Toast, right? Because we are Toast. And so what Good Vibes Club is now is, instead of us doing primarily commercial work to sort of fund the business, we're able to partner with various businesses within the Web3 space as Good Vibes Club. We have a royalties element to the smart contract that helps fund that as well. But we're trying to make intelligent business decisions that ultimately allow us to grow in a way that isn't extractive, in a way that is beneficial to the community and ultimately beneficial to us all, because our community is our heart. It's our heartbeat. And so we want to make sure that we're constantly able to bring not only relational value, but actual value to the community in a way that makes sense strategically. So hopefully that answers that a little bit.
Well, in Good Vibes Club, it's, instead of, like Chris, you said, like focusing solely on commercial work, Good Vibes Club is us putting our entire artistic pipeline, our process, all the things that we've built for years, and putting it towards building out Vibe Town. And so as a lifestyle brand, as an IP, that is our primary focus in, commercial partnerships, like what you saw with OpenSea. Like, look at the production fidelity in that short film. I mean, applying that to the different storylines and the various components of building out Vibe Town is not only really exciting, but, from the commercial side, it allows us to grow and expand the IP through partnerships, both within Web3 and out of Web3 with our Rolodex of production contracts that we have in Web2. But also supplement the business in a way that is healthy for the ecosystem and, doesn't let us need to like rely on extractive revenue mechanisms, which we've seen play out over and over again. So, I think like the biggest benefit that brands have is time, time to do things right. That's why people raise capital. That's why, people need to build, and robust features and things and products that they're shipping. And so, if you look at what are the ways in which you can give your community and your brand more time to really build in the right way at the foundational level, I see the commercial side of the business, Toast, the commercial animation arm, and the revenue that comes along with that being a very healthy sort of mechanism to feed into that sort of equation, right? And so the two feed off of each other, very nicely, not only from a brand, exposure standpoint, but also from a how do you make the business work?
It's really logical for the two of you, I think, in the sense that, like, you're obviously kick-ass at running a business and that's been very successful and you have those talents, but like, we've talked about like every brand has the chance to sell a community-based brand or have a community-based brand, I should say is a better way to put it, where it's like, we talked about the Starbucks example and it's like Starbucks can only sell so much more coffee, but they can have loyalty and they can have deepening connections and build a community and genuinely find and locate their best fans. And it's like, you have this great B2B business, but it's like, as community builders, like the way you do things just makes sense. You brought in a guy like, Zane early on, you brought in, Mason, who's just an absolute Chad. And it's like, you have this crew of people who make sense to build out a community. So it's like, you have this sort of like, again, this force multiplier towards what you're doing. So I really love that thought process and it makes sense to me. I mean, it's part of the entire thesis of my book is the idea of community-based brands being something you can do with any business. And I think this is almost a case study in any business and how you're pulling it off. And how you intrinsically see those interconnectivities. And it's not like, oh, well, we have this business over there, that's our money generator. And then we have this business over here and it's a different section. They do cross over. So appreciate that thought process. We have a couple questions from our guy, Joey Vowles, who's normally on the show, but I think he's at the gym or at an appointment today. So want to pull those in. And he had some fun questions. He mentioned, look, we've seen a lot of the community members create animations, full body art, etc. Are there plans to release full body art, animations, gifts, so holders can do more with their Good Vibes Club? Because you're a creative bunch. People are already having fun with them. Are you going to stoke those flames? Or are you just going to let the community do it? Any thoughts on that?
I think that it's really important, especially in the early days of the brand, to preserve production fidelity as much as possible. So our vision is to encapsulate all these different identities through like moving storytelling inside of Vibe Town, and that's going to come to fruition very shortly. Additionally, we've seen a lot of community members do their own thing with some AI tools and whatnot, which I think is really cool to kind of see as like its own sort of thing on the side a little bit. But at the heart of the brand, we really believe that if you're able to create a world that people can see the detail of and feel it, like see the little rocks and see little pebbles, you're going to then be able to imagine yourself inside of that world much more strongly, in my opinion. So to create this world and to build this idea of Vibe Town, which is essentially, for those that aren't aware, Vibe Town is, imagine like a Caribbean island. Imagine if New York and Puerto Rico had a baby. There's this huge city in the Caribbean. It's always sunny, probably 75 and clear blue skies almost at all times. There's funk music playing in the streets. People are stoked. People are jamming. People are pumping. So if we can build that out and see community members' identities within these different stories that we tell, I think that would be powerful. Ultimately, stories are what drives art and culture. So to be able to shape these different narratives, to tell these different stories with the community's identities inside of Vibetown is going to be extremely fun. We're super stoked to see that come to life.
That right there is the perfect example of like what storytelling really is. Like anybody who's listening right now
makes me want to move to Vibetown, Steve. Like I'm in the market. I'm not like I got a year. I'm probably moving somewhere.
Come
like,
on down, dude.
Yeah. Where's the best timeshare presentation I've ever heard? I'm in.
Yeah. It's like you can feel the sun, the warmth of it. It's like a good storyteller can do that. And I think that that's the power of storytelling. And that's why it's not fugazi. Like, it's not like you showed up and you hadn't done this before. When you see a video like that, it's not a coincidence that the OpenSea video did so well in a day when the whole timeline's farming loud, right. Myself included, by the way, like hand up, like it's we're looking for a cook, but like you broke through because of the quality of the storytelling. And even like, I want people to take notes on two things. Not only that, but also when you talked about the rainbow puke and the puke goes into unicorn fart dust, and it's almost like an improv yes and exercise where you build one story along the next. It wasn't just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just had an explosion here? You thoughtfully built each. Dort's face worked really well for that first moment when you were seeing the ape coin. Like, those details are what separates sort of an artist from a person who's like just creating something. And I think those are important. Which actually kind of dovetails into Joey Val's second question, which was, we've seen Pudgy Penguins, Chimpers, and a few others find success on the other platforms like Instagram, TikTok by creating content with their IP. Good Vibes Club has the type of IP that could excel on those platforms. Are there plans to utilize some of the strategies seen by other NFT projects to proliferate beyond X and Web3 by using maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's YouTube, other things you've used in the past when when you've seen partners like Facebook and others create things?
Absolutely. And I think that that's sort of our bread and butter, and that's definitely within our plans. I think that if you're able to kind of create short form narrative content that people can connect with and then proliferate that along Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, different social platforms, it has a lot of impact for the brand. In terms of like our vision, that's absolutely something that we've talked at length about from the very, very beginning. And we want to be mindful with how and when we roll that out. And so it's still in progress in terms of when that moment is, in terms of like the debut of those socials, but it's absolutely something that is within our plans and, something that we've sort of crafted the brand around in terms of its ideation and its inception from day one.
Well, it's also, Chris, what we've been hired to do for all of these other companies. Like, yes. You go to Google, Made by Google's account, you're going to see our stuff, Oreo campaigns, like you name it, like all the biggest brands in Web 2, that's what they came to us and hired us to do. And so like, it's ironically like, sure, we're very proud of the collection and the art itself as, still images, right? As an art piece. But ironically, like what maybe we're best at and, what we have the production pipeline set up to do specifically is storytelling through motion and specifically creating motifs and brand moments and, mini stories throughout, different sort of world building mechanisms and exercises. Like, all of that takes place on socials. All of that feeds into the evolution of the brand and how do you grow and connect with folks outside of even the bubble that is Web3. And so like, it's great for the proliferation within it. It's also really good for it without it or outside of it. And so it's really exciting to be able to, put our artist resources and our pipeline behind those things. But the way in which we go about that, we obviously want to be intentional about. So the answer is yes, absolutely, soon.
Couple more questions and we'll let you all get out of here. You've been super generous with your time. We're always excited. Never a bad time having you all on a Coffee with Captain. And obviously we'll continue to do this many, many times over. But a question we've gotten like in 4 places in the chat, which we asked you last time, we're going to ask you again. When Good Vibes merch, like whatever the kind is, whether it's a hoodie, whether it's merch from the collection, whether it's whatever, like even the pins, like I'm all over those. Like when Good Vibes merch, because where I think people are lining up, take my money.
NFT
it's
NYC.
coming soon. Yeah. NFT NYC, dude, roll through. We're going to have a really fun time at the Super Gallery if you guys haven't heard, we're going to be having a little event, Super Gallery. I think it's the 27th. 26th. Cool.
Yep.
And it's gonna be a really, really great time. So come on through and grab some merch.
I will be there. That will be no doubt about it. And I was glad because when you said 27th, I got scared a little bit, only because I am going to be in NFT. Oh no! I was like, oh no! I thought it was 26, and I was like worried because like I'm getting in. I'm probably going to be in New York, 24th, 25th, 26th. I have to drive like 14 hours on the 28th. So I'm going to be flying out on the 27th. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to miss. So excited for that. That is going to be a fun one. I think people are pumped about that for what you're going to do in NFT NYC. And yeah, Good Vibes merch is going to be a hot item, and it'll be good to see Chris again and actually finally meet Ty in person. It'll be fun times. But
dude, I cannot wait, dude.
Dude, it's gonna be great. Awesome. Before we let you get out of here, was there anything we didn't ask you or talk about today that we needed to make sure we hit on? Or Cap, I don't know if you have any final like questions as we continue to roll through.
No, but well done. Really enjoyed the conversation. I was going to show I pinned this up top, the chart as you were talking through, just like the collectors collecting and the badges. And I just real quickly I just wanted to acknowledge the sales above floor price. This is dated. Carl put this out, I think, a couple weeks ago. But it's not just the 100 ETH sale. It's not just the big sales. It's a third, if not more, of these sales are collectors collecting things they want to collect. It's the aesthetics, it's the badges. And I think, Steve, this is a more important metric than is floor price.
100%. Yeah, and that's something that we talk about amongst ourselves all the time. Like floor price is like, sure, it's there, right? You know, these assets, they have financial value, 100%. But, you know, it's not the metric that is like indicative of the health of your community or the affinity to your brand. And so, but that metric I think is in that, you know, people are going and looking for the things that they want to collect and the things that they're drawn towards from an aesthetic standpoint or maybe an emotional standpoint. Many instances of people saying, oh, this reminds me of my cousin because of this reason or whatever. And, you know, that I think is really cool, especially at the stage in which we are, you know, only being 3 months since mint. And so, you know, it's really exciting to see that. I saw Carl post that and you know, I was like, man, that's really cool because, you know, and this kind of ties back to the OpenSea video as well. You know, there's so many brands in the space that have done so much to push things forward, and they've trailblazed in a lot of ways. Like they've pushed it forward so others could come along, right? And so
absolutely.
And that's really important to recognize. And so, you know, obviously it was really cool seeing Good Vibes Club next to, you know, these titans and these legends that have done so much that we admire and respect. But, you know, that metric specifically at the stage in which we're at, I think is something that I'm really excited about personally, because I think it means that, you know, the community that we're curating is really special.
I agree. Yeah, that one. And then the other one is, I mean, Steve mentioned there's been multiple people that they'll sell a rare and then they immediately go back and buy a floor or two or multiples on the floor because they're not only not leaving, they want to increase their exposure. And yeah, it's been a while, I think, since we've seen this sort of underlying activity. And it's just the time, like I was saying, I think it was earlier this week, Steve, where I said, if this was like 2021, I feel like NFT stats would have a different Good Vibes chart every day on the timeline because the underlying metrics are so strong. It's just that for whatever reason, the space isn't talking about KPIs on NFT collections as much today as they were maybe a few years ago. But the results, the performance, it really is impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Well, look, we appreciate you. We'll have you back on many times, I'm sure. This is the first, the second of many, and very much excited to dap you both up in NFT NYC and see you there. And congratulations on everything. Congratulations, especially on that OpenSea partnership, because, it's not just for, selfishly for the space as a whole. The quality stepping up from a major player like OpenSea, because they partner with the right people like you, and they have people like Hollander who are great at spotting what he's great at being like, this is what I want. This is going to be good. Like, let's do this. It really helps move things forward. So thank you for your leadership, and looking forward to seeing y'all.
Dude.
Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. And, we'll definitely kick it in New York.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Talk soon, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Never a bad time with those guys, Cap. Never a bad time. I mean, I mean, we met with Chris in Paris at the time, right? Like, and had a lot of conversations with him there. Ty is like one of my fave people that I DM with like on a regular basis. Like he's there. Oh wait, I don't know. I see Ty waving. I don't know if Ty wants to come back on stage. I'm actually going to bring Ty back on, or if Ty was just waving goodbye. He might have just been saying goodbye, but okay, he's just saying goodbye. Cool. I was like, I saw Ty in the back and I'm like, oh no, did I just drop him off stage and he like had something to say? All right, cool. Appreciate you, sir. Love you, Ty. But they're great people, man. And like, it's something where it's like, we don't change our PFP often, right? Like rarely. And like, one of the only things I change it to is that honorary Good Vibes Club. Same with you. Like they look good. It's
third
gooder.
time since Board Ape Yacht Club Mint that I've changed it for. Each time has been for 24 hours or less, but yeah, Good Vibes. This honorary has been 2 of the 3.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm pumped about it. I'm pumped about everything they're doing, and I'm excited for OpenSea. Like the fact that they said that they're going to be doing more work with them, like that is bullish on OpenSea. Like they're hiring, like other side hiring a real production quality. By the way, is it the least surprising thing ever that Chris and like DK like worked together at the animation studio that they use for Other Side, which we just said was like the best shit we've seen? Like it's like not surprising at all. I don't know, man. I'm excited for them. It's like I'm excited about the space right now. Like we have energy going on right now. We have people getting a random yell at the timeline stimmy tomorrow, 1,000 of them. We have Good Vibes Club and trailers coming in. We have OpenSea 2 launching an amazing rewards platform. We have the US government being like, hey, we're putting down our sword against crypto. Just a lot of positive sentiment, man. And I am feeling strong about the direction we're heading. But yeah, man, it's good. Like, what are any parting thoughts before we get people out of here or anything you want to hit on?
We do have 1 in a million up on stage with the hand up. And I saw Loki up as well. If you wanted to get in here, we'll go to you after 1 in a million. But 1 in a million, GM, what brought you up? Sorry if you had a question for the guys.
No, it's okay. GM. Just wanted to take a second on this Good Vibes Friday to give you guys your flowers. Awesome interview as usual. And wanted to tell a little story. Like a lot of people know Jason Calacanis now from the All In podcast, but back in like 2010, I want to say 2011, I was out in LA doing entrepreneurship, and he started the This Weekend Startups podcast, and I was an executive producer on it. And wanted to tell you guys, like, looking back on that, I remember a couple of things, not in hindsight, on that I wanted to kind of take action on after I heard it. One was when he had Travis Kalanick, I think, from Uber on, and they were only in San Francisco at the time. Oh, wow. And I remember looking back, and that day I was like, how can I get in on this company? And the other one was he had someone on about Bitcoin when it was $9. And immediately after, I tried to buy $3,000 worth of Bitcoin, down bad because I couldn't figure it out and didn't spend enough time. But point being, you guys do awesome interviews. And I think looking back in 5-10 years, you'll be like, oh, I remember that time that Luca came up on stage, or the first time we had Good Vibes Club on, or first time we had Clantosaurs on. Things like that. I just wanted to give you guys your flowers because it's awesome and it's fun being here.
Oh, I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And I mean, that's the dream, right? Like these interviews, like I just shared with someone, we're grateful, honored to be able to host founders that are pushing the space forward. And there is really a lot of incredible people here. For as much as people might get frustrated with some of the attention that some things get that may not be pushing society forward, there's a lot of incredible builders here. We love highlighting them. We love chatting it. We thoroughly enjoy it. And then, yeah, the dream is, yeah, we look back in 10, 15 years and a couple of these founders we had on are, go on to create unicorns. And yeah, it does mean a lot though. I really appreciate the kind words.
It's funny. I was thinking about this because like, as 1 in a million's talking, it's like, sometimes we get a little shit because like we try to bring in the newsmakers of the day, and we are like people who want to talk about them and ask questions. And sometimes like Luca had a big controversy. He came on our show the next day. We asked him all the questions, but in a safe way, right? This is how we generally operate. That's like, we just generally speaking will try to have people who are newsmakers on. And sometimes we catch a little flack for that because it's like, oh, you're having this person on or that person on. But, that's going to happen in any industry where you're interviewing people in like early industries, especially financial ones. What makes me happy about it is like, we do also get within that those who really do push things forward. Like, and you don't know until later on sometimes what happens with those things, right? Like, people sometimes their businesses don't work out or things don't work out for them, but like, you have a good vibes on, you have a Cleano's on. And I'm really, really proud of the fact, like, I am very proud of the fact that when Cleano's has an announcement, Cab DMs me, and like, just like has like, hey man, like, I know you like this stuff. I want to look out. I'm like, somebody who is a great leader in the space, who I don't even own a Cleano. I want to. I'm going to get a Popkins at some point, right? But like, and I have a couple packs there. But like, somebody who I respect as such a brilliant leader in the space with a real background likes us enough to be like, hey, we want to come on and talk about our news. The fact that Good Vibes Club is like, hey, we have news coming up. Do you want to, can we jump on the space? This makes me like, it makes me happy, man. It makes me happy that like, Yuga, we were part of Yuga's PR strategy when Cam took over I should say ApeCoin's PR strategy when Cam took over at ApeCoin, at ApeChain. Like, they reached out to us. They had him on the show. We had the first, like, he's like, that fills my heart with joy that leaders and people who care want to talk to us and by extension, and more importantly, our community. Like, the people who are listening out there, everybody in this space, everybody in that chat, everybody there. It's like, when we talk to people, to a person, the leaders in the space say, you guys have one of the best communities in Web3. Like, this is not BS. This is not like me making something up. We talk to these people. They love our community because they know that y'all are very legitimate people who come here for the right reasons every single day and show up. And, if you're showing up 5 days a week, you care. So we appreciate you very, very much, Cap. And 1 in a million, go ahead and get back in here. I saw your hand fly up.
Yeah, just real quick. You guys are humble, but you should be proud. It's awesome. Like, this is what Web3 should be. And a lot of it's bullshit, but this is the stuff that's fun that we'll look back on in 15 years, that we're talking to our kids about now, that you guys see early. And I really appreciate it.
Bro, I've said it before. I mean, we built this thing from zero to what it is now in a few years. Like, I'm really proud of what we've done with this show. It's like very cool. And so like, yeah, we should be proud of that. And it's like, when we're talking to our grandkids, we had a show and we could talk to the people we talk to. It's like, we have these feathers in our cap, which are pretty cool, but it's from the hard work and it's from showing up, and it's because we have a community that truly cares, and it's awesome.
Agreed. Good show today. Really enjoyed it. Fun week. It's going to be a fun weekend. It sounds like, Steve, we did get some breaking news. It sounds like the timeline might be cleansed a little bit because the top 1,000 snapshot is about 10 minutes ago. They said it was coming soon. So I interpret that to be by noon. There's the snapshot will have been taken. Would be my
okay.
guess.
So I need to fire off one more, and then I can get a little less loud.
Yeah, fire off one more, and then go touch some grass.
All right, well, look, let's let everyone sail off on their day so we can all craft our final loud tweets to make that final run at it. Good GL to everybody who's out there, and hopefully GG if you are on it. I know it hasn't been updated in a while, so I don't know. Like, I mean, for all I know, I was 218 last I checked. I've been 218 since I woke up this morning, I think. But that doesn't mean I'll stay there. I could be out of the top 1,000 if people get really crazy here. So not taking our foot off the gas, trying to continue to stay as loudio as possible to stay in that top 1,000, getting to that pre-sale. And hopefully those numbers bake out. Everybody prayed to the gods for a $500 million market cap. And that shoot for the moon. And if you land in the clouds, you're in a pretty good spot, or whatever it is. Shoot for the moon. If you land in the stars, I don't know what it is. Point is, hey, man, I'm guessing between 20 and 30 mil, honestly. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but I look at the pre-markets. I see 70 mil. 20.
I'd be ecstatic at 30 mil. I think 30 mil is everyone that's in the pre-sale is it's a big win. It's a big win. It's not generational wealth, but it's a big win.
Yeah. It's a nice little bump.
0.2 soul. I mean,
nice little bump coming through. So get yourself out there if you're in it. Stay a little bit loudio, and yeah, let's pray to say, like, hey man, like, maybe 100 mils in range, and 100 mil would be a heck of a day for everybody here. So we shall see what happens and what that does to the rest of the ecosystem. We'll see. But that said, we'll send everybody off into their day. Thanks to everyone who came through today. We look forward to talking to everybody bright and early Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.